The chair recognizes the gentlewoman from Wisconsin, Ms. Moore, for 5 minutes.
Mr. Speaker, I rise today under the E pluribus unum to give voice to the elderly, to the children, the disabled, the most vulnerable, Mr. Speaker, who are once again facing your proposal, Mr. Speaker, to rip health care and the safety net from them. Is this the best you can do, Mr. Speaker, to once again, over and over and over again, propose this legislation to cut trillions of dollars from Medicaid and Medicare to fund tax cuts for corporations and for billionaires, and to do this, to slam this through the House without transparency? Mr. Speaker, Republicans like to call me a tax and spend liberal, but today we see this GOP fiscal plan as another borrow and spend to pay for billionaire tax cut. Now, the Wharton School and the Goldman Sachs studies both show that at best, this plan would produce a paltry 1/10, maybe 2/10 of 1% growth. But we all know that it will increase the national debt by trillions of dollars. This is a horrible investment, a horrible return, negative return on investment. It's a terrible process. This is terrible legislation. It will produce terrible results for the overwhelming majority of Americans, especially the millions who rely on Medicaid and Medicare. Now, here's the deal, Mr. Speaker, that you're trying to push. If Americans are willing to give billionaires windfall tax cuts today and also trade their health security and safety net, then you, Mr. Speaker, will give average Americans the empty promise of wage growth and tomorrow, and you'll be able to file your taxes on a postcard. I say empty promises because studies and our experience has shown that this unicorn of wage growth from tax cuts will never, in fact, happen. It's reminiscent, Mr. Speaker, of the gluttonous wimpy in the Popeye cartoon. I'll gladly pay you Tuesday for a hamburger today. Now, this is a great plan if you're rich. It's dollars for fool's gold. But the American people are not fools, Mr. Speaker, and that is why the Republicans want to rush this through with minimum transparency. This is madness. Trickle down has not worked. It does not work and will never work. We've got deficits under Reagan, under George W. Bush to prove it. The tax cuts will not pay for themselves, Mr. Speaker. The tax cuts won't magically produce increased salaries for workers. The tax plan will not lead to these claims in economic growth. Mr. Speaker, we've all lived long enough to know that these are all lies, Mr. Speaker. It is not even wishful thinking anymore because we know better. Congress should not be considering tax cuts for the rich and opening up even more tax loopholes. Mr. Speaker, we cannot spin gold out of straw, and that is what we have here. This plan will make most Americans more poorer and more sicker, if not dead. I urge all my colleagues to reject this bill. Instead, Mr. Speaker, I urge my colleagues to fortify our election system from Russian further interference. Build new infrastructure. That's what creates jobs. Fund the child health insurance program that Republicans let expire, Mr. Speaker. Ensure that all 3.5 million American citizens in Puerto Rico and Virgin Islands can have access to water, power, and health care this holiday season. That is what we should be doing. And I yield back the balance of my time.